You're sitting at the edge of a river, 12,000 years ago. The hunt went well 2 days ago. There's still food. The afternoon sun is warm. Someone nearby is carving something from bone. Your children are running through the grass, and nobody is telling them to stop. You're not behind on anything. You don't owe anyone anything. And you're going to spend the next several hours doing almost nothing. And it doesn't bother you at all. Now look at the person sitting a few miles away. They're pushing seeds into the dirt with their finger. They think they found a better way. More food, more control, less uncertainty. In a few generations, everyone in this region will be doing what they're doing, including your grandchildren. Here is what that does to their bodies. They get shorter, their teeth rot, their bones thin from nutritional deficiency, their joints and spines carry the permanent marks of repetitive labor. New diseases tear through crowded settlements in ways that never happened before. Children grow up surrounded by waste, animals, smoke, grain stores, and people who no longer move away. So how does a species with the most successful way of life in Earth's history trade it for something that made the body worse? And why couldn't they stop? Let's start with what the bones actually say. Across population after population, the shift from hunting and gathering to farming left the same visible mark on human skeletons. Hunter-gatherers were taller, their bones were more robust, their teeth showed less decay, their skeletons showed fewer signs of long-term nutritional stress. Then, farming arrives, and height drops. Not by magic, not because humans suddenly became weaker, because the diet changed. Instead of a wide mix of wild plants, meat, fish, nuts, roots, fruit, and seasonal foods, farmers began depending heavily on a few staple crops: wheat, barley, rice, maize, millet. More calories, yes, but fewer nutrients, and the body noticed. Children who did not get enough nutrition left evidence behind in their teeth: thin lines, defects in enamel, small biological records of hunger written into the mouth. Adults left evidence in their bones: anemia, infections, joint damage, spinal stress. The body became an archive, and agriculture wrote in it every day. One of the clearest examples comes from communities that transitioned toward maize farming in the American Midwest. Before the transition, people had a varied diet. After the transition, the skeletons changed. 50% more enamel defects, tripled rates of iron deficiency anemia, fourfold more bone infections, more degenerative damage in the spine. Life expectancy dropped by nearly a decade. Same region, same people, different food system. The bones do not say progress, they say something got harder. But it wasn't just what they ate, it was what they had to do every day to make that food edible. At Abu Hureyra in Syria, one of the earliest farming settlements on Earth, archaeologists found something painfully specific. The women's skeletons showed damage linked to long hours of grinding grain. Their toes were bent, their knees and hips carried stress, their lower backs showed permanent degeneration. Not from one accident, not from one hard season, from repetition, day after day, morning after morning, kneeling over grinding stones, rocking forward, pressing down, crushing grain into flour, again, again, again. The work was so constant that it permanently reshaped their skeletons. We know what their mornings looked like because their bones still remember it 11,000 years later. A hunter-gatherer body from the same era tells a different story. More movement variety, different muscles on different days, a life that moved across the landscape. A farmer's body tells something else, a life that repeated. And then there was disease. Hunter-gatherers got sick. They had parasites, they had injuries, they had infections, they had hunger. This was not paradise. But small mobile groups have one strange advantage. Disease has fewer places to go. 20 or 30 people moving through a landscape. An epidemic has trouble becoming an epidemic. Not enough bodies, not enough crowding, not enough permanent waste, not enough stored food attracting pests. Farming ended that. Now people stayed in one place. They stored grain, and grain attracted rodents. They kept animals close: cattle, pigs, goats, sheep, chickens. Animals lived near houses. Waste stayed nearby. Water sources became contaminated. Parasites had a permanent home. Humans created settlements, and settlements created the perfect infrastructure for disease. Measles is linked to viruses related to cattle. Influenza is tied to pigs and birds. Tuberculosis has a long, tangled relationship with domesticated animals. Plague spread through fleas carried by rodents attracted to grain stores. The exact origins of every disease are debated, but the larger point is not. Farming did not just grow food, it grew crowds, and crowds changed disease forever. So why did anyone start? Because from the outside, farming looked like the opposite of a trap. It looked like safety. Farming has one enormous advantage. It produces more calories from the same piece of land. That is the whole secret. Not better health, not easier days, not more freedom. More calories per acre. And once you have more calories, you can feed more people. More people means more hands. More hands means more fields. More fields means more food. More food means more children. And more children means you need even more fields. The loop runs in one direction. It does not stop. Hunter-gatherer groups stayed at 20 to 50 people, not because they were primitive, because the landscape had limits. A group can only move with so many people. A territory can only feed so many mouths. Wild animals reproduce at their own speed. Wild plants grow where they grow. There is a ceiling. Farming breaks that ceiling. A settlement can grow from dozens to hundreds to thousands. And here is where the trap closes. Once your population grows too large, you cannot go back. The wild food around you cannot feed that many mouths anymore. The animals are gone. The land is cleared. The old routes are forgotten. The population is too big. You need the fields. Even if the fields make you shorter, even if the fields make you sicker, even if the fields make you work harder than your ancestors ever did, you cannot quit. Because quitting now means starvation. There's no vote. There's no meeting. There's no moment where humanity decides. The people who remember the old way grow old. Then they die. Their grandchildren inherit the farm and call it normal. This is why agriculture is so strange. It was a disaster for the individual body and a victory for population. More farmers mean more villages. More villages mean more land cleared. More land cleared means less space for hunter-gatherers. Even if the hunter-gatherers are healthier, even if they have more free time, even if their teeth are better and their backs are straighter, they are outnumbered. Slowly, then suddenly, the farming world expands, not because it is better for the person, because it is stronger as a system. That is the terrifying part. A system can be bad for the human body and still win. Then come the cities. Writing, taxes, armies, kings, storage rooms, temples, walls. Everything we call civilization grows from the same bargain. More food, more people, more control. But also more labor, more disease, more inequality, more dependence. And once the bargain is made, nobody living inside it can remember signing it. In 1987, Jared Diamond called agriculture the worst mistake in the history of the human race. He wasn't being provocative. He was reading the bones. And there is one set of bones that puts a human face on all of it. She lived at Çatalhöyük in what is now central Turkey 9,000 years ago. One of the largest early farming settlements ever found, home to up to 8,000 people. When she died, she was in her late 30s. Her spine showed severe degenerative disease from years of repetitive labor. Her tooth enamel recorded at least 2 episodes of serious childhood malnutrition. Her bones were thin from iron deficiency. She had been anemic for most of her life. She lived in the largest city on earth at the time. She didn't choose farming over hunting and gathering. She was born into a world where the decision had already been made by people who were already dead. Her settlement was already too large to feed any other way. The trap had closed generations before she was born. She didn't fall into it. She was born inside it. Here's what makes this story quietly devastating. We talk about agriculture as one of humanity's greatest leaps forward, and in one sense, it was. Without farming, there are no cities, no writing, no states, no universities, No modern medicine, no satellites, no internet. No one making a video complaining about agriculture on a device powered by civilization. But for many of the first people who lived through the transition, progress did not feel like progress. It felt like shorter bodies, aching backs, rotting teeth, crowded houses, children getting sick, and work that came back every morning, no matter how tired you were. Nobody decided to make human life worse. The math decided for them. One family planted seeds near a river. One harvest survived a bad season. One village grew slightly too large to live any other way. Then the trap closed, and everyone after that was born inside it. The hunter-gatherer before them worked 15 to 20 hours a week to find food. The farmer who replaced them worked from sunrise to sunset, and still sometimes watched the harvest fail. For thousands of years we called it progress. But progress was never about making life easier for the body. It was about making the system impossible to escape. You did not choose this world either. You were born into it. The alarm you set last night, the work waiting tomorrow, the bills, the deadlines, the calendar, the feeling that you are always behind. All of it has a very old ancestor. Someone, somewhere, pushed seeds into dirt and found a way to feed more people. And once there were more people, there was no going back. We didn't make the worst decision in human history. We inherited it, and we're still living inside it.